I had this idea of coming up with a questionnaire, 8 questions that would help isolate what your interests are with horror, and at the end of it, come to at least like one or a few movies that are perfect for you specifically as a horror fan. Let's start with my pal, Depp Strider. Question number 1. What is scarier to you? Something that could happen or something supernatural? Is both an option?
It's possible.
Question number 2, does gore enhance the scares? Do you find it more effective when something is bloody, or does that actually decrease the horror elements for you? Does that decrease the horror atmosphere? Depp is saying no. Okay. Question 3, are subtitles a deal breaker? Depp is saying no. Question 4, what is scarier to you in general? An older concept, such as folklore, or a newer concept, such as technology? Depp is going with the old. Number 5, what is your opinion on jump scares? Are they kind of a deal breaker? Or do you thrive on jump scares? Or the big jumps and the lead ups to the jumps are what keep you nervous during the film? Are you kind of in the middle? You have some movies that are essentially entirely made up of jump scares. The Strangers is a good example. As far as jump scares, he's a little bit in the middle. Film has them, cool, as long as they're done well, and don't just litter the entire film like chickenpox.
No, because I'm here.
Hi. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Question number 6. Do you prefer watching horror movies alone or with other people? I can think of some films that are probably better watching alone. You can think of movies that are a bit more psychological, introspective, heavier, darker. Of course, you know, we all have different groups of people that we hang out with, obviously. Depp is saying alone, quote, I cannot watch horror movies with anyone I'm friends with because they start doing live commentary on why the movie is not scary. That sounds awful. All right, question number 7. In general, do you prefer horror movies that are slower or faster? For example, Talk to Me is rapid fire. Most zombie films, in terms of slow but effective, you could think of It Follows or The Witch. In terms of overly slow to the point where you want to punt the TV, you got something like The Lodge or Speak No Evil.
I must have the recipe. You might actually have what we call a Masserin tart or a tart, yeah.
Yeah, there are some in the middle for sure, though. I don't want to say there's none. Okay, so Depp, you're going to put slower, right? I knew it. Last up, question 8. Do you prefer more universal or specific themes in horror? Now, what do I mean by that? Are you more scared, or do you generally prefer horror films that center on things like fear of being killed, fear of being corrupted, consumed, eaten? These are universal horror themes that affect generally everyone on the planet. The second, on specific themes, there's some kind of metaphor that's happening with the film. So for example, the horror in the film could be an analogy for underage drug use and drinking, childhood trauma, themes of race and racism like the film Get Out, sexual abuse, sexuality, all those kind of things.
Sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
Depp is saying specific themes. Okay, and there we go. So we have his answers for these 8 questions.
The outer layer of our system. We'll start an intrusive inspection and find out.
Just print the damn thing.
Lake Mungo seems like a really good choice. Definitely supernatural, really no gore at all. Subtitles aren't really a factor. It does involve some technology with the cameras that are set up, so it's kind of in the middle there. There's only one jump scare that I know of in the entire film, and it's one of the best I've ever seen. I personally think Lake Mungo is phenomenal when you're watching it alone. So sneaky in how it crept under my skin that I didn't realize I was terrified until about halfway through, and I suddenly had this urge to shut the laptop off. And that's when I realized that I was paralyzed and the film had me. Slower or faster, Lake Mungo is definitely a slower experience, and for universal or specific themes, there's certainly a universal fear of being haunted, but at the same time, there is definitely a specific theme of loss, of how losing a family member affects the entire family unit and the desperation that comes with trying to find answers or find some glimmer of hope of contacting them.
History trying to exclude trauma, but there was certainly no history of trauma that he was able to give us. We tested him for vasculitis, and we also excluded any poisoning or toxins in his system. We were unable to turn up anything conclusive, and several weeks after this, the bruises just resolved spontaneously, and we were never able to really establish a cause for them.
Does anyone want to go next? DN, here you go. Question number 1, he says supernatural. Number 2, DN is saying no to gore. Number 3, he can watch it, but not necessarily his favorite. Old or new, don't really care. What is your opinion on jump scares? No judgments either way. He's gonna go with alone. Slower or faster? Faster. Universal. All right, guys. So this is quite the change. This is fantastic. Right off the bat, it's not supernatural, but the Spanish found footage classic Rec really jumps out to me as being a good recommend here. It seems to capture a lot of this. I personally think Rec works both with people or alone. I wouldn't say it's overly gory. As far as comparing it to other zombie films, it's probably less gory. There are a few jump scares in the film and they're executed very well. It's a fast movie, universal theme, and in addition, it is a fantastic horror film. Scared the bejesus out of me, in my opinion, and has one of the scariest endings of any horror film.
Dame la manita. Ten cuidado. Dame la manita. Dame pasa los ojos.
Last person who has a lovely name, let's look back at it. George Black Cat McCarr 650. He prefers realism over the supernatural. He is kind of mixed on gore. Subtitles are not a deal breaker. He cannot decide between the old and the new. He's all for jump scares. He prefers watching horror with people. He likes a movie to have a little bit of torque and his themes to be more universal. The Collector would check off these boxes. For those who don't know, it's essentially if Home Alone was a horror film. It's like a roller coaster ride. It's a universal film of not wanting to fall onto a floor filled with bear traps. And that would be a fantastic film to watch with people. In fact, I watched it with someone. If you have the stomach for it, Collector is a very fun movie. It is certainly not elevated horror. It's not flawless. There are a few issues with its editing. If you enjoyed Saw, I would highly recommend The Collector, because The Collector is just the Saw traps with all the other crap cut out. Those are some examples of the horror questionnaire in effect. Anyone in the comments, please answer these questions as best as you can, and maybe I or others watching this can recommend the movie as well. As always, thanks for watching.